Hi, this is Luke Middlebrook for the LMS recommendation for O'Farrell Charter Schools. The LMS system that we are recommending is Google Classroom. So what Google can offer us, it already fits into our suite with our Gmail and Drive for our school. Since every student has a Gmail account, every teacher has a Gmail account, we both have drives that are offered by the school, which means that it would fit great for the teachers and the students to be able to use Google Classroom already. Google Classroom is very quick and easy to learn for teachers and for our students. It's streamlined in the tips and the services it provides to make sure that everyone knows how to use it. Unfortunately, there is no parent access to Google Classroom. I had a conversation with a fellow educator from Grossmont Union High School District. She teaches chemistry, and she was talking to me about what experiences she had with Google Classroom in her class. She said that Google Classroom is very straightforward for her students to learn how to use. She stated that once students had some training in it, they got it really fast. They said that they picked it up really quick and that it wasn't an issue. There was no real challenge or learning curve. They knew exactly how to get to the content. Since I already had Gmail, it was a very similar process and a very similar architecture. She said once she learned how to use it, it was very easy to use in her classroom. She found that once she could make files online from the drive and drop them into her classroom and convert things from paperwork into digital, it became even easier. Since we had the iPads in our room, it made it easy to convert our classwork into paperless. She had an iPad cart in her room that allowed for one-to-one while students were in the classroom, which allowed her to get rid of paper completely and make it a completely digital and kind of blended class. So she'd do a lecture, students would be able to take notes on paper, and if they had classwork, they'd be able to go onto the iPads and actually do the work on the iPad, making it completely digital, allowing for grading to be a lot easier. So she said that as her classroom developed and she started to implement Google Classroom more, the more her class became blended. All of the students had internet access at home, which meant they were able to access Google Classroom and all of the assignments and projects at home as well. So she could provide a calendar, due dates, assignments, and tips from home if she knew that she was getting a lot of emails from students, so she wouldn't have to wait till the next day to explain things. So that was her feedback from what she experienced when she was working in Grossmont this past year. So how would it fit into our school? Well, currently we have iPads in our classrooms that we'd be able to access in class, which means that we could also do what she did, converting our classes to be online and blended in the moment. We could decrease paper, and we're already kind of trying to do that now. Since every classroom has iPads, we could start this process where students are using less paper or using paper for a purpose, but classwork can be so much more engaging by being able to access the internet and use technology. Our staff is already familiar with using online education apps, so currently we have things like Illuminate, PowerSchool, students and teachers using Edmodo or Class Dojo. So we have a lot of teachers who are already familiar with using online education, so being able to transition to Google would not be that hard. Considering that our site already uses Gmail and the Google Suite, this would be one less training that need to be done, since the architecture for Gmail is so similar with Google that if people know how to use the drive, they'd essentially know how to use Google Classroom. As our school expands, this is a system that all grades would be able to use. So if we had students in high school down to 6th grade, they would all be able to use Google Classroom. So issues we may run across. There is no parent access currently. This is something that our parents state that they really, really need. We know that all our stakeholders are important. So making sure that our parents have the access they need to their students is a main piece that we need to make sure is there. Google is planning on implementing this or trying to figure out how they're going to implement some way to get parents involved, but currently there is no way for parent involvement. We have to ensure that all of our software and hardware can support Google Drive. Our iPads we have in the classroom now are getting older, so we're going to have to spend a lot of money to replace them. We also do not have the hardware to support this online blended app. We know that Google Drive takes a lot of memory, takes a lot of bandwidth, and especially Google Classroom. So if we had every single class using Google Classroom at the same time, that would require exorbitant amount of bandwidth. So we need to update the hardware of the facilities, we need to update our software and our programs and our iPads. We need to update the actual school as well for wireless access points. So at this point, we are unable to do that based on the technological needs of what Google Classroom demands. But I think it's an easy fix. We can fix it by the next school year. We could have our wireless access points up, we can increase our bandwidth, and our tech team can start the process of updating the software. So these issues we can run across, none of them really revolve around the architecture or the design of the learning management system. They run off the physical aspects of what the system needs. The electricity, the charging of the devices, the bandwidth. So I think once we can establish that, we can go pretty far. So thank you for listening to this presentation. Look forward to hearing from you.